Hi everyone, and welcome to Grazia and Femina's virtual beauty carnival. And this time we're discussing a virtual wellness edition with you guys. And our very special guest today is the lovely Bhumi Pednekar. Hi Bhumi, thank you for
Hi,
joining us
Mena.
today.
Thank you so much. How are you?
I'm well. How have you been? You've had a small sort of break, I believe, and you're back.
Oh, yeah. I think generally, I think the last 2 months, pretty much everybody was on a break, but I'm very happy to start work again. And I'm very happy that the lockdown has kind of eased down. Not the lockdown, the restrictions in Maharashtra have kind of eased down. And yeah, it's good to be like back at work.
Super. So, Bhumi, you've been an advocate for climate change now for a while. You've been tirelessly speaking out about it on all platforms. So, you want to tell us a little bit on how this journey of being a climate warrior kind of kickstarted?
I can't really think of a specific moment that it happened. I think pretty much like, since I was a child, this is something that I've been very, very aware of and very, very worried about. When I was younger, my immature mind would think about things like, oh, what would happen when the water would dry up? Maybe I need to like have a huge go down full of like, mineral water, only to know that that's actually one of the biggest polluters. So I think I've always kind of been aware of the adverse effects of climate change. And even in my teenage years, I have always kind of been vocal. I've been woke about it, etc. But I feel that once I became an actor, I realized that I have a lot more power and I need to reach out to a larger audience because honestly, according to me, the effects of climate change is literally the largest threat that humanity is about to face and is facing. If you look at the way the last 2 or 3 years specifically have been, we've had some of the hottest months, right? We've had cyclones, we've had earthquakes, we've had so many natural disasters, we've had like virus outbreaks, and scientists and doctors and researchers have been telling us for years that this is exactly what's going to happen. You can't mess around with nature. You can't mess around with the balance that our planet is supposed to have. And when you do that, things are really gonna be bad. And because it's something that I have always been reading up about. I realized that okay, I need to use my social media platform to create as much awareness and to kind of bring the topic of climate change at the center of most conversations. And yeah, that's how Climate Warriors started, and we've done some incredible amount of work. We have been working with children a lot. We have done a lot of different collaborations. Unfortunately, 2020 and until now, since the COVID-19 virus outbreak started, our groundwork has reduced. But yet, consciously, we are constantly kind of drilling. Our messaging is still on, so be it, small little things like, planting trees, like, I consciously make sure that on bigger days, as opposed to like, earlier where I would be gifting people, now I'm gifting them trees and I'm gifting them like, so it's these habits that I also kind of want to bring about a change I feel like
Right.
I want my followers and my audience to kind of change their lifestyle. I really hope that through all the conversation and through all the information that we give, at least on an individualistic level, we can kind of start
Absolutely.
changing our habits.
But so tell me something, is this kind of, I'd say, conscious, responsible consumption now something that you yourself have been very mindful about for a while now?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I feel like the biggest problem is our consuming habits. I feel like, oh, I'm a shopper and oh my God, I have so many shoes. It's so passe.
Right.
I feel like we need to go towards a more sustainable life. That means that we need to change our consumption habits. We need to be aware about what we are buying. We need to upcycle, recycle, reuse, repeat and regenerate. Basically, our generation, even this year, the UN, like on World Environment Day, the theme was that, our generation is the generation to regenerate all the resources. And I think that's extremely important. And even if you look at the lifestyle changes that we've kind of brought about in my household, right from like garbage segregation to composting to just like the idea of less consumption, just being aware of, okay, if I'm buying this thing, it can be like food or a piece of shirt or like a piece of clothing or anything, just what the carbon footprint of that is. And, honestly,
Right.
it's not difficult at the start of it. Like, people get very intimidated by the idea of a sustainable lifestyle, but it actually is a lot cheaper. It's a lot doable, and it's just a simpler way of living. It's just about going back to the way, like, maybe people lived
Just
2
being more
generations
mindful,
ago.
in a way.
Absolutely.
So coming to some of the programs that you're working on, I mean, anything that's active currently right now?
Through Climate Warrior, at the moment, we don't have a specific program that's on, but as I said, the messaging never stops. We constantly have videos coming out. We constantly have live chats. We are constantly communicating with students, with like different bodies. And there isn't like a particular thing that we do. It's very holistic. And honestly, the last 2 months for me pretty much have been about all the COVID relief work that we've been doing. And unfortunately, the climate
which you've
crisis.
Spoken to us also extensively about.
But yeah. The climate crisis didn't take a back seat, but at that moment, it was all about COVID relief. And but even during this time, we've constantly tried to kind of let people know that these virus outbreaks are completely related to the climate crisis.
Right.
Because scientists and researchers, we don't even know in our permafrost the kind of viruses that are actually frozen, what's going to happen. And that's happening, right? Ice caps are melting. There are going to be a lot more disease outbreaks. There are going to be like mass migration. We are going to have a huge refugee crisis. And, I feel these are things that people, it's unnerving, but we need to be aware that, okay, this is where we are headed.
Have you also had the time to think about the way we need to re-examine the idea of beauty in the new normal? Of course, I mean, we're at home right now. It's not even, I mean, that's one of the basic things. But just in terms of how we view it, how we consume it, there has to be a re-examined idea of that as well, right?
Oh, absolutely. I feel you need to kind of reassess every aspect of your life. And, I personally I love the beauty industry. Okay, I'm a very big supporter of it. I feel it's so empowering, and I've always spoken about it. But I do feel like consciously, even when you look at the trends today, you see that most companies are going towards a cleaner business module. They are going towards recyclable packaging. It's cruelty free. It's vegan. It's just about being more compassionate and empathetic towards nature, and I feel like a lot of brands are kind of taking that route, and a lot of consumers prefer brands that kind of, are more planet conscious. So I feel like you definitely do need to reassess. I don't think now is the time to hoard. As I even said earlier, the idea of being like a compulsive shopper or, being a hoarder or, just wanting the first, like every product that's in the market is very passe. It is rather stupid and dumb. And, I also feel that it's very important to share, give. I know so many people who just have like skincare and beauty products that they've just kept for years and then they ultimately throw it. I feel like, spread it out, share it, give it on, like, give it to other girls who might not be able to afford like buying that lipstick, but you got so much of it, let them experience it too. So I feel like, it just can't be like a one directional approach.
Or what it used to be earlier, the age of excess, honestly.
Absolutely. The age of excess is just, I mean, I have no respect for people who just don't get the concept.
So obviously this is the way you pick your brands. I mean, are there any certain elements or like best practices and things that you look out for before you make your pick about what you're going to pick up next to you?
I think generally there is a lot of awareness about what each brand's doing, what the amount they are kind of putting into their practices. So I feel just being mindful of that is very important. I always tell people, read your label. Today there are so many apps online. There are so many ways that you can actually, kind of calculate the carbon footprint of each product that you consume.
Absolutely.
And it's kind of fun, and it gives you a lot of like knowledge as well. And that's when you realize that, oh my God, the t-shirt I bought is actually equivalent to like me going around the globe thrice, which is crazy. That's the amount of resources that's been consumed. So I just feel like, brands that are, as I said, more climate conscious and, planet conscious, I just feel like, buyer trends have changed majorly.
They look for a story. They need to know what's going into the product and the back end before they purchase. Yeah. Bhumi, what's your idea of clean beauty?
I think it's pretty much what the name says, right? Like, good ingredients, ingredients that are good for my skin, ingredients that are good for the planet. I think that's exactly what clean beauty is about. And, just not about that one recycled mark on your product. Yes, it's a lot more than that. It's actually about, companies using good practices, putting good practices to use. I think that's very, very important.
Do you think that beauty as a whole has taken a kind of a backseat for you, maybe in the last few months, to make way for maybe a more holistic wellness, self-care routine rather than beauty per se?
No, not really, because I am an admirer, right? I love the power of makeup. I love playing around with it. Even in the lockdown, I was constantly making these videos, which was like something very new for me. But yes, definitely, I feel like, the last few months, because life had tremendously slowed down, it wasn't just about like the external appearance of it. It was about kind of healing yourself internally. And, as an actor, you don't really get this kind of time often. So it was about, eating right, cleaning up your skin, kind of addressing all your injuries, making sure that everything that I didn't have time for, I kind of did. But I don't think beauty took a backseat for me at all. There were days, because my sister and I, we both love it so much. There were days that we just had our glam on and we had a glass of wine and we were just like, chilling. And in fact, surprisingly, the beauty industry in the lockdown did not do as bad, as a lot of other, industries did, because I don't know, I think it was literally the only way you could have had fun. But I think it's a very known fact that even the trend now is about like, beauty with good skincare. So I mean, I wouldn't
say has been skin has
it has. I think it's become more minimalistic, and I don't think beauty would ever go out of fashion. I don't think it's ever. I think the trends would keep changing. The way you consume it, the way you use it would change. It's all about being minimal right now. Right. And but yeah, I think we'll constantly keep experimenting.
So, do you think, say, I know that you've been involved in a lot of relief work in the past few months. Do you think all of that put together has kind of affected, say, your sleep patterns, your fitness schedule, and in general, just mental well-being balance? Do you think it has interfered with your routine?
Oh, yeah. I had no routine. Like, usually life was all about waking up, getting that cup of coffee, getting a good workout in. But, especially since my COVID relief work started, I did not have the space for any of this. And I really missed kind of, getting that 1 hour to myself, because for me, getting a good workout in isn't just about your physical well-being. It's more about my mental well-being. That's the way I look at fitness. And I really missed that. But honestly, those 2 months were so intense and insane. It was such an immersive, I was completely absorbed in what I was doing. So there were like no hours. We were working 20, 22 hours a day. There was nothing. Like, there was no schedule. There was no time to eat. There was no time to sleep, because like you don't even give these things important when you see the kind of tragedy that people are kind of like, the
And the
amount
kind
of
of
human tragedy.
maybe help you're giving out to people by the minute and actually by the second, honestly.
Yeah.
So yes, so it did kind of, your routine, I guess, change.
Oh yeah.
depending
I'm
on.
still kind of like catching hold of it. I've still not understood what my body clock is like, because I started shooting, and then now suddenly I'm waking up at like 4:30. I'm trying to sleep early because it's work. I have to look a
Of
certain
course.
way on screen, and my work can't suffer because work is worship. And also the cases and all have really, I think, are under control right now. But I'm still kind of also like post-COVID recovery, because everything happened together for me, right? I was still in COVID when I started my relief work, and I had got the disease really bad. I was very, very sick. And so I just feel like the last 2 months were really action-packed for me. Starting March, there was so much that was happening that I don't think I've still had the time to kind of step back and assess and, kind of deal with everything.
So shooting will be the new therapy.
I hope. I mean, there's
propel you from that
that
period
gives
on
me
to the
more
next.
pleasure.
Yeah, that's good. So Bhumi, what are your plans for this year with reference to, say, raising more awareness, educating people, and just generally being more mindful as we step into a new world, hopefully we're not yet post-COVID, but at least as we progress through the year?
Honestly, until the end of last year, we had these plans. We're like, oh, okay, things are going to be better. I, for now, have put everything on a standstill, because, we are not in a position to plan anything. The only thing that I have control over is literally like all the communication that we do through our social media. And that's not going to stop for COVID Warrior and Climate Warrior. We have strong volunteers and strong setups like for both these initiatives. And, it's like, and even Josh Warriors, which is like the blood drive that we do. And that's how I'd actually started my COVID relief work. Now, all these entities have kind of gone into autopilot mode, so because there's so many people that have so many collaborators. There's so many people that kind of, are a part of this. But for Climate Warriors specifically, what the property primarily stands for is celebrating people that work towards the cause. And we have some really interesting interviews lined up. We are concentrating more on, Gen X. We are concentrating more on children and, like our young climate warriors this year. It's pretty much going to be about them because, the future is there. So there'll be a lot of interesting conversation around that. There are some more things happening, but I don't think I'm ready to talk about it yet because, but it's very exciting, especially for Climate Warrior and COVID Warrior. I mean, I really hope that we don't, it's not required, our assistance not required, because that's something that I really don't wish for. But God forbid, if the third wave is as bad as what the second wave was, then we are prepared. We have our teams in place. We've already started.
Which comes me to the fact that you had an entire team set up and working with you, right? During the past couple of months.
Yes. All volunteers, faceless strangers who have like, I don't even know how most of them look, but like we are this beautiful community and our work's still on because, even though the madness of all the resources that weren't available and everything that's happened has reduced tremendously. But there are a lot of post-COVID cases, especially for mucormycosis, a lot of funding cases. And, not just generally with COVID warriors, a lot of people kind of reach out to us for any medical assistance. And because, we've just kind of created this network, we help people out, but it's not like as bad as it was. And
and it's ongoing.
It's ongoing. I don't think it's ever going to stop. I don't think it's not even COVID specific anymore. It's just medical assistance to people who don't have resources, to people who are confused, to people who kind of don't know what to do. And we try to the best of our ability to assist them. And there's no system. It is because this is not something that I thought of, right? I just kind of jumped into it and, I don't know, maybe like some higher power has kind of guided me through this and kind of, everything's come together and there's no system, but it's like just on, it's on auto mode. It's happening. we are reaching out to people, we are helping people, we have more volunteers come in. I constantly get calls from like people that want to donate, and they're like, no, you tell us where. And there's constant work happening.
No, it's been fantastic. We've all been following you, at least on Twitter and everywhere, and we know all the efforts that you and your team have put in. But Bhumi, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing all this wonderful insight.
Thank you.
And back to shooting and all your great work for next year.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Bhumi.
Bye-bye.